Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here today doing a collaboration with Katie with Eastwicks paper and ink. Was communicating with her and we came up with this idea. She does great things with backgrounds, and she has some beautiful techniques on her channel. And along when it comes to those backgrounds, she shows a great alternative to pigment powders. So in that spirit, I'm going to use the pigment powders that I have, which are the Nuvo Shimmer powders. These are the two colors that I'm going to be using. Now I'm actually going to change out the yellow. That is an extremely pale yellow, so I wanted something a little bit brighter. And you can see the stamp set that I'm going to use is by the Colorado Craft Company, Big and Bold. I am a fan of their stamps. Yes, they are large. Yes, you make a larger size card with them, or you can cut them down. The one that I'm going to be using is the Daisy and Dahlia, and I just saw oranges and yellows when it came to this. So I grabbed a piece of Bristol cardstock, and I actually have this cut to 8 by 8. I wanted it a bigger panel. Grabbed my water bottle and some paper towels, and I'm just adding the pigment powder to the page, and then I'm spraying it with water. Now, the great thing when it comes to pigment powders is they burst. Now, Ken Oliver has sets too that are called color bursts, hence the name. So these, when it comes to the Nuvo shimmers, there's a glimmer, a shimmer powder that's through it, like a Perfect Pearls. But what's also unique when it comes to these shimmer powders is they're two-toned. So even though this is yellow, there are flecks of a darker yellow, a little bit of orange in these. These powders go a long way. So you don't need a lot of them. You can bring in a brush to get them moving. I just like to add more water. Now, your paper's going to warp. It's going to go all over the place. It's going to have a happy do day. But that's what makes it fun, right? So these are different than sprays. You're going to get a very different effect than a spray. Now, again, I am just coming in with a brush just to those piles of powder that I have, just getting those to move around. When I'm adding different colors, I always dry in between each of the layers. I don't, now these colors are they will mix well between a yellow and an orange, or a yellow and a red, but I don't want it to be completely mixed. I want to have those differences, those harsh lines to be created. And by drying each layer in between, I can get that effect. Okay? Now, I came up with this, or I did not come up with this technique. So whenever I do a collaboration with someone, I always ask them, what is your favorite go-to technique? Because we all have that, right? You know, we all have that one thing that we love to go to. So she had said that hers is background. She loves her powder pigments. So I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. You don't see this too much when it comes to my channel. And you know what? It's wonderful. You know, I forgot how much fun these are. What wonderful backgrounds you can create. And as always, I will make sure you go to her channel. It'll be linked down below. And I want you to make sure that you do check that out. And I can't wait to see what she makes. So, okay, back to this. So you can see after I had the yellow dried, I then came in with the Catherine Wheel. It is my favorite color out of all of the Nuvo shimmers. There's just something about this color. It's got corals, it's got reds, it's got orange, it's got a little bit of a yellow, and it's got this gold shimmer that goes through it. And as I bend this piece of cardstock or Bristol, you are going to see that shimmer in there just a little bit. Now you can see I have these bold areas, and there's a reason. Now I stupidly went in with my paper towel, and now I've got that harsh, see, it's even like a little pink. I've got that harsh line, and I can't make that move. Well, that's okay. We are going to overcome. Remember, we keep going. We keep seeing what we're going to create. Now, of course, I've got this cut 8x8. It's too big for my stamp positioning tool. So yeah, that was my second issue. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to start this. And I wasn't quite sure where to cut it. You can see now why I was looking at those 3 areas where I put the powder, and you saw them explode, and it was just awesome. So I don't want to move this stamp. So what I'm going to do is just cut around it. Now, use caution when you do this because you don't have that straight line. Remember, there's reasons why we use our stamp positioning tools in case we have to stamp again. This is a big stamp. I'm going to have to stamp again because the paper I'm using is textured. So knowing that, and this is just shifting in there. Now I could have trimmed it down, and I was too lazy to really try to get those angles. Now I'm coming in with my Simon Says Intense Black because I had another idea that I was going to go with. And then I just chose against it. I do have one of those pressing tools, and it just was not working the way that I wanted it to work. So praying that my stamp is still in place, I'm now coming in with my tried and true VersaFine black. It is an awesome black ink. It's solid, it's true. You can usually nail this stamp in one shot. Now you can see though, because the paper is warped, I've got to, this just took a lot of patience, and I usually don't have too much patience. I'm just saying. But again, we keep going. Being careful, what I'm doing is I'm being very careful when I lift up the lid to the stamp positioning tool so that this doesn't shift too much. I'm making sure I put my finger down in that corner as I'm bringing that door back over to minimize the shifting of this piece, because I want the boldness of that black, because honestly, that boldness and that sharp image is only going to emphasize those colors. Now, where I position the stamp, again, it's hitting those 3 flowers perfectly. And again, we just went with it. But I'm also good because of that one area where I smudged it with the towel. That's not going to be part of it. And if it was, who cares? You know what? There's ways to deal with that. Sentiment. We cover it up with a sentiment. Yes, we have fun with that. Because the VersaFine black takes longer to dry, it's technically a pigment, but it's a fast drying pigment. I'm able to come in with my clear embossing powder, and that just makes this black even bold, even bolder, to just jump right off this page. But it's not taking away from the beautiful powder pigments that I have in the back there. And if anything, it's making them stand up even more. I chose the one with more of the Catherine wheel, the red, for the dahlia, and then more of the yellow with the 2 sunflowers. Now this is probably making you nuts, but what I'm doing is, yes, it was very warped. By me rolling that back and forth, it flattened it out. Not perfectly, but better. Okay, by all means better. When you do techniques like this, your paper is definitely going to warp. Okay, just by rolling it that way on each corner, on each side, it actually brings those fibers back and flattens that paper out just a little bit. With the tape that we'll be using, you won't even know. These are the 3 pieces of cardstock that I chose for my mats. I chose a black, a dark yellow and a lighter yellow. And because of those colors, that's going to help that red, that pigment powder, to even pop even more, because I don't want to lose that. I want that to be the focal. Think about it. When you take, even though, you're just putting powders down and you're adding water and they burst, or you're creating a watercolor background, or you're ink smushing, you take time to create those backgrounds, and they are kind of your focal point. You don't want to lose that time that you put into those. The simplest technique that's out there, and one of the most beautiful, is just to stamp your image on top, whether it's a silhouette or whether it's a detailed image such as this. You will still see that image, but it's going to accent what you've done in that background, because you're going to pull that out. You're stamping based on that sometimes. The tape that I'm using here for the back, this is a tape that I get from Uline. It's actually like a warehouse, business warehouse. It is a great 2-inch film, double-sided tape. It is extremely strong and unforgiving, meaning the moment you touch the paper, it will stick to the paper. There is no tearing this off. People have told me, though, that there are ways. They have told me, you could heat it back up and gently pull it. My luck, I just pulled the paper. So I'm going to use my fun foam. So I put the decorative panel on top of the lighter yellow. I'm now using that same tape to apply the fun foam to the back, which is going to go on top of the darker yellow and the black panel. So I'm going to have this raised. And look, it's flat. It is flat. It doesn't warp. The moment that it just flattens it out, because you're putting it on a flat surface, it doesn't take on the warping, which I find amazing. This is an extremely large card. I am putting this onto a 7x7 base. Matter of fact, no, I am sorry. This is actually a 6x6 base, and these card bases are by Tonic Studios. I look out for their sales, and they usually have awesome sales for these. And they come in white and an ivory white, which are perfect. I'm going to add some gemstones, and yes, you were seeing that color correctly. They are Purple Iridescent by Pretty Pink Posh. They're called Amethyst. Yellow and purple are complementary. If we ever look at a color wheel, when it comes to our colors, we have our primary, our secondary, and our tertiary. Purple, of course, is one of our secondaries. And then because of that orange, that's kind of a secondary as well. So you look across that wheel and you'll see the complements. And that's why I went with the purple. I chose the sentiment bursting with happy birthday wishes. I thought it was appropriate. Get it? Bursting? Okay, so I do hope you enjoyed the project. I cannot wait to see what Katie has created. I look forward to it. And again, her channel is called Eastwicks Paper and Ink. I hope I'm saying all that right. But definitely the link will be down below. So please make sure you go check out what she made, as she will be posting at the same exact time. All the products that I used will be listed down below. Excuse me. I thought I was going to cough there. By all means, if you want to click on them and check it out, please do remember they are affiliate links, which means if you use those links to do your shopping, I do receive a small commission with no extra cost to you. And I say thank you. Very grateful. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below and I will make sure I get back to you as soon as I can. Everyone, continue to enjoy your day. Have fun. Enjoy. Smile. No matter if you're with friends or family or you're just in your crafty space. But always enjoy it. But remember what is most important for me. Always be creative, guys.